Hey guys, day 7. I'm so excited. You've been rocking with me. We've been rolling. We are at the end of another 7-day devotion. I hope it has been a blessing to you. We got quite a bit to read today, so we are going to jump right into it. Day 7 is failed faith. To be unable to meet the standard set, to neglect to do something, to break down, or cease to work well. In Genesis 19:15 through 26, with the coming of dawn, the angels urged Lot, saying, "Hurry, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, or you will be swept away when the city is punished." When he hesitated, the men grasped his hand and the hands of his wife and his 2 daughters and led them safely out of the city, for the Lord was merciful to them. As soon as they had brought them out, one of them said, "Flee for your lives, don't look back, don't stop anywhere in the plain, flee to the mountains, or you will be swept away." They made another couple of requests, which the angels allowed. And then, if you go down to verse 23, it says, "By the time Lot reached Zoar, the sun had risen over the land. Then the Lord rained down burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah from the Lord of the heavens. Thus he overthrew those cities and the entire plain, destroying all of those living in the cities and also the vegetation in the land. But Lot's wife looked back, and she became a pillar of salt." In Job 2 9 through 10, his wife said to him, "Are you still maintaining your integrity? Curse God and die." He replied, "You are talking like a foolish woman. Shall we accept good from God and not trouble?" And in all of this, Job did not sin in what he said. Okay, let's level set. Let's back up. Let's hit rewind again. If this was a series, we'd have to get caught up in where we are in the show. So when it comes to Lot, Lot is Abraham's nephew, and they had separated and they had gone different directions. And the Lot's land that he chose became evil. There's a lot of bad stuff going on, and the angels came to him and said, "Hey man, we're going to destroy this city. It is so demonic, it's so evil. We're going to destroy it. God has had enough." But he's merciful to you guys, and he's going to rescue you. You have an opportunity to escape. He made a way of escape for Lot's family. They had a couple of things. They were like, "Don't do this, don't do this, and don't look back." Okay. And so Lot's wife faith failed her. She needed faith, which we're going into next week. She needed future faith. She needed faith for the future. She needed to hold on so tight to, the promises, that she just kept moving and kept doing and kept going where in the direction that she was supposed to go in. But she didn't. She froze. She looked back. Her faith failed her. Same thing in Job chapter 2. Now, Job's wife is in a bad place, okay? She's in this fatigue faith situation where she's lost her kids. She's lost, it'll be the equivalent of like a storm coming almost and just destroying everything, taking everything, the kids dying, the animals are gone, all the crops are ruined, everything, and one servant being left in every scenario to come back and tell, but everybody else is dead. Okay, so we will give her a little grace in the fact that she's probably in the worst place of her life, the worst position she's ever been in. And she looks at her husband, and he's still holding on to his integrity. She's married to a mighty man of God. And she looks at him and she's like, "Are you still holding on to your integrity? God's taking everything from us. You should curse God and die." That is the worst advice ever. It's like, chick, what in the world? But in her place of fatigue, in her place of frustration, in her faint heartedness, she is giving bad counsel to her husband. Okay, so we're going to dig into today what we are learning about failed faith in these situations. First of all, the second part of this is he answered her. He said, "You talk like a foolish woman. Shall we not accept good and not trouble from God?" And in all of this, Job did not sin in what he said. That's so important. I felt like that was worth mentioning, is because even though this was a spouse that is giving him bad advice, he didn't follow it. It's like when we think back to the garden and we're thinking about Eve and this fruit that she held on to. Her faith failed her in the garden, and she's giving it to Adam. And Adam's not, he's not taking accountability or responsibility for this conversation that his wife has had with this serpent, and now he's just eating this. She's eating this fruit, and he's eating this fruit. And in this case, though, Job heard her. He rebukes her, and he was like, "You sound like a foolish woman." And in all he said, he did not sin. In all of the situation, he did not sin. That is so important, because even when the person's closest to us is losing their faith, or their faith is failing, it is important that we don't lose ours, that our faith doesn't fail. Amen. So number one, let's just review. God will provide a way of escape. I don't think we need to really, dig into that too much, but just know that, every time you think that you're facing something and it's just the odds are against you, God will provide a way of escape. It will be merciful to you because you are his righteous son, you are his righteous daughter, and he will be merciful and provide a way of escape for you. Number two, God will walk you through destruction to save you. The angels showed up. They are walking Lot's family through the destruction. I mean, the destruction is happening. They are literally getting them out of, the danger zone. And God just basically gave them a chaperone through it. Just somebody to show up and walk them through it. Okay. Number three, the consequences of your sin can affect generations after you. When Lot's wife turned into a pillar of salt, her daughters ended up getting their father drunk because they're in a cave and they're like, there's no other men around, so we need to keep the cycle of life going. They get their father drunk, they have, intercourse with him, and the generations and the children that are born from that union, one of those sets was the Moabites, which was what Ruth was a Moabite that was, criticized, in Ruth, if you catch up and read Ruth. And had that mother been there, that would have never occurred. But she wasn't there. And there's some things that as a mother, as a parent, that you can't stop if you aren't on the earth. That's why we have to make sure that our faith doesn't fail. We have to make sure that we are getting our bodies together. If you follow me on social, I've been going to the gym. I am not a gym rat, even though my husband, he's working in real estate now, but he's also a certified trainer. I am not a gym rat, okay? But I go to the gym because I'm trying to keep my mind strong, because it's good for my mental health. It's good for, just to keep me sharp, and it gives me, time with the Lord, and making sure that I'm physically strong, for all of the things that I want to do. And because I want to be there for my kids. I want to be there, as long as I can, as long as my parents are here, as long as my kids, I want to be there for my husband. And so I know that if I'm going to do that, I've got to take good care of this one temple that God gave to me. And so if I'm not here, if I don't take care of myself and I'm not here, then there's things I miss out on. There's opportunities that I miss to impart wisdom to my children and to give love to my spouse. But I have to be here in order to make those contributions. And let that be a reminder, women, specifically, we take care of everybody but ourselves. We got to remember to put that mask on ourselves first, so that we are in a position to be able to take care of others. Amen. Okay. Number four, the roles of wife and mother are so critical as it relates to heritage, legacy, wisdom, and household. Job's wife, Job, and we, the Bible isn't clear, completely clear on whether Job had children with that wife or if he had children with another wife later. It's like in some of the Bible contexts and that I've read, it's not clear. But my thought process was that what if she wasn't the one after that? Like, did she remove herself You know what I'm saying? It's like you have to understand if your faith fails, there are some situations where you are removed out of the situation altogether. Like David's wife, Michael, like she was so upset that he was dancing before the Lord, and he's like, I'll become more undignified than this. She disqualified herself, from we never hear the Lord struck her barren and we never hear anything about her again. Okay, because what we have to do is we can't let our faith fail us. We can't let the situations, we can't be so upset, so frustrated, or so emotional that we say stuff and we do things that can affect our household, affect our relationships, and affect the legacy that we're leaving and the wisdom that we are supposed to be imparting to our household and into our spouses. We have an important, critical role. Number five, good wives have influence. Good mothers have authority for a season and then shift to influence as well. And good spouses make each other better and not worse. This thing is just in my spirit. It's just like it is so important that we are being wise. We are making the most of every opportunity, that we are imparting knowledge, imparting wisdom, that we are encouraging our spouses in a time where their faith is low, in a time where challenges occurring, because we talk about, we all have challenges. We all have these fragmented periods of faith in our life. We all have these fractures, these faith fractures, but it's so important that we are uplifting and we are encouraging and we are getting on our face and we are praying, and we are not just letting just anything come out of our mouths. And it doesn't matter who you are. I mean, if you're watching this and you're a man, it's important for you as well. You're the head of your household. But specifically women, the Lord has given us a charge. I mean, the Proverbs 31 woman should be the example for us all. I mean, her household is clothed. They have, she's got purple scarlet, she's got the linens picked out. Her children are rising to call on her blessed. Her husband is meeting with the important people in the city gates. She has got her things together. She's got her household together. And that is who we want to strive to be. We don't want to be the woman whose faith, or the man whose faith is failing, because we have a critical role to play in our families. And we have a critical role to play in our communities. We have a critical role to play at our jobs. And we have a critical role to play, on the global stage. Some of us have global assignments. And you cannot do those things if you allow your faith to fail you. Amen. Um, Finally, Job made such a great point, and I think we need to be reminded of this, is that God is still God when everything is not going our way. God is still God when all hell breaks loose. God is still God when your job does a reorg. God is still God when you get an unexpected diagnosis. God is still God before you go into surgery. God is still God when you get older and you come to the end of life and the Lord is calling you home. He's still God. He is God. He's been God. He's going to be God. I am that I am. He is the Alpha and the Omega. From the beginning to the end, he changes not from generation to generation. He is God, and he is worthy of the glory. He is worthy of the praise. And we have to make sure and be so sure that our heart posture is right, and that we understand that just because we go through a rough season, it does not mean that he's forgotten us or he has forsaken us. I have been young and now I'm old. I have never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging for bread. When we go through the fire, he is with us. He will never leave us. He will never forsake us. So when we are going through our valley seasons, we must remember he is God, and this is the last day of this challenge. And I want to remind you, we are healed from this fractured faith. We are healed from these fragments, and we are making sure that as we transition from this fragmented, faith situation into our future faith, that we are determined to not let our faith fail. Amen. Okay. I am believing and praying that this was a blessing for you. I will see you in future Forward Faith.